We're back now with the rest of our interview with former President Clinton. After that long discussion of how he fought the war on terror, we return to his efforts as an ex-president to help solve the problems in developing countries. One of the main parts of the global initiative this year is religion and reconciliation. President Bush says that the fight against Islamic extremism is the central conflict of this century, and his answer is promoting democracy and reform. Do you think he has that right?
Sure. To advocate democracy and reform in the Muslim world? Absolutely. I think the question is, what's the best way to do it? I think also the question is, how do you educate people about democracy? Democracy is about way more than majority rule. Democracy is about minority rights, individual rights, restraints on power, and there's more than one way to advance democracy. But do I think on balance that in the end, after several bouts with instability, look how long it took us to build a mature democracy. Do I think on balance it would be better if we had more freedom and democracy? Sure I do. And do I think specifically the president has the right to do it? Sure I do. But I don't think that's all we can do in the Muslim world. I think they have to see us as trying to get a just and lasting peace in the Middle East. I think they have to see us as willing to talk to people who see the world differently than we do.
Last year at this conference, you got $2.5 billion in commitments, pledges. How'd you do this year?
Well, this year we had $7.3 billion as of this morning. But $3 billion.
Excuse me?
$7.3 billion as of this morning. But $3 billion of that is, now this is over multi-years. These are up to 10-year commitments. But $3 billion of that came from Richard Branson's commitment to give all of his transportation profits for a decade to clean energy investments. But still, the rest is over $4 billion. And we will have another 100 commitments come in, maybe more, and we'll probably raise another, I would say at least another $1 billion probably before it's over. We've got a lot of commitments still in process.
When you look at the $3 billion from Branson and plus the billions that Bill Gates is giving in his own program, and now Warren Buffett, what do you make of this new age of philanthropy?
I think that for one thing, really rich people have always given money away. I mean, you know, they've endowed libraries and things like that. This is the unique thing about this age is, first of all, you have a lot of people like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett who are interested in issues at home and around the world that grow out of the nature of the 21st century and its inequalities. The income inequalities, the healthcare inequalities, the education inequalities. And you get a guy like Gates who, you know, built Microsoft, who actually believes that he can help overcome a lot of the health disparities in the world. And that's the first thing. The second thing that ought to be credited is that there are a lot of people with average incomes who are joining them because of the internet. Like in the tsunami, for example, we had $1.2 billion given by Americans. 30% of our households gave money, over half of them over the internet. And then the third thing is you've got all these, in poor countries, you've got all these non-governmental groups that that a guy like Gates can partner with, along with the governments. So all these things together mean that people with real money want to give it away in ways that help people that before would have been seen only as the object of government grants or loans.
Let's talk some politics. In that same New Yorker article, you say that you are tired of Karl Rove's BS, although I'm cleaning up what you said.
But I do like, but I also say I'm not tired of Karl Rove. I don't blame Karl Rove. If you got a deal that works, you just keep on doing it.
So what is the BS?
Well, every even-numbered year, right before an election, they come up with some security issue. In 2002, our party supported them in undertaking weapons inspections in Iraq and was 100% for what happened in Afghanistan, and they didn't have any way to make us look like we didn't care about terror. And so they decided they would be for the Homeland Security bill that they had opposed, and they'd put a poison pill in it that we wouldn't pass, like taking the job rights away from 170,000 people. and then say that we were weak on terror if we weren't for it. They just ran that out. This year, I think they wanted to make the questions of prisoner treatment and intercepted communications the same sort of issues until John Warner and John McCain and Lindsey Graham got in there, and it turned out there were some Republicans that believed in the Constitution and the Geneva Conventions and had some of their own ideas about how best to fight terror. The Democrats, as long as the American people believe that we take this seriously and we have our own approaches, and we may have differences over Iraq, I think we'll do fine in this election. But even if they agree with us about the Iraq War, we could be hurt by Karl Rove's new foray if we just don't make it clear that we, too, care about the security of the country. But we want to implement the 9/11 Commission recommendations, which they haven't for 4 years. We want to intensify our efforts in Afghanistan against bin Laden. We want to make America more energy independent. And then they can all, if they differ on Iraq, they can say whatever they want on Iraq. But Rove is good, and I honor him. I mean, I was said that. I've always been amused at how good he is in a way, but on the other hand, this is perfectly predictable. We're going to win a lot of seats if the American people aren't afraid. If they're afraid and we get divided again, then we may only win a few seats.
And the White House, the Republicans want to make the American people afraid?
Of course they do. Of course they do. They want us to be, they want another Homeland Security deal. And they want to make it about, not about Iraq, but about some other security issue where if we disagree with them, we are by definition imperiling the security of the country. And it's a big load of hooey. We've got 9 Iraq War veterans running for the House seats. We've got President Reagan, Secretary of the Navy, as the Democratic candidate for the Senate in Virginia. A 3-star admiral who was on my National Security Council staff, who also fought terror, by the way, is running for the seat of Kurt Weldon in Pennsylvania. We've got a huge military presence here in this campaign, and we just can't let them have some rhetorical device that puts us in a box we don't belong in. That's their job. Their job is to beat us. I like that about Rove. But our job is not to let them get away with it, and if they don't, then we'll do fine.
Mr. President, thank you for one of the more unusual interviews.
Thanks.
President Clinton in New York as he wrapped up his global initiative for this year. Coming up, our Sunday panel weighs in on the Clinton interview. What kind of job did he do in fighting al-Qaeda? Stay tuned.